With the way the world is today, everybody needs a reason to smile. Thankfully, there are compassionate people out there to lend a helping hand. But we hardly hear about their kind moments because it seems the world nowadays is flooded with sad and controversial stories. But that's about to change. Here's a few amazing, wholesome moments which will lift your spirits. Paramedics always rush to emergencies, and most decent citizens are more than happy to stand aside and let them work. But in the UK, there was a recent spate of people leaving irate notes when they found ambulances on life-saving calls, blocking their driveways. But most people aren't so inconsiderate. Ambulance technician Gary Turley and volunteer first responder Carol Lewis were parked up on a call in Kent when they returned to find a note on their windshield. Happily, it was one from a supporter of the emergency services and came with a £10 note. The note said, "You're blocking our drive, but no worries. Buy a coffee when you can." Photos can perfectly illustrate how one person can make a difference. This next image comes from Egypt. In the middle of a busy street, a young girl sits down with an even younger boy on some steps to look through a book with him. It turns out she's a student in the city, and she spends time every day teaching this boy, who's the son of a street vendor, how to read and write. A true Good Samaritan. Marlee Pack of Colorado was just 9 years old when she was diagnosed with connective tissue cancer and had to shave her head. But instead of a tragedy, her story is one that will make your heart soar when you learn that her classmates went the extra mile to ensure she wouldn't feel any more different. Best friend Cameron McLaughlin's Be Bold, Be Brave, Go Bald initiative saw 80 of her friends, 3 teachers, 2 principals, and even some parents shave their head in solidarity with Marlee. The best part is, they donated their locks and raised over $25,000 for charity. We all know that a dog is a man's best friend. But what happens when another animal wants to be part of that equation? Here's a deer fawn who was rescued from the side of the road. Her mother had been hit and killed by a car, and the poor infant had been left behind. Thankfully, a passerby rescued her and raised her alongside their dogs. Now this little deer thinks she's a dog too, and the three have formed their own unique pack. Speaking of dogs, here's a photo with a sentimental story. We all know cats and dogs don't tend to get along, but try telling this love-struck pooch. According to its owner, this dog would continuously peer into the window of its neighborhood to watch the neighbor's cat, who would be sitting there. Then one day, the owner of the cat put a potted plant in her window, obstructing the view. The dog was distraught, so its owner wrote a note asking for his neighbor to remove the plant, and happily the cat's owner complied, adding a note of their own, "For true love. Move over, Romeo and Juliet." That's not the only time that cats and dogs have got on. Check out this pair, huddled together on the sofa. It's nighttime, and outside of the house, fireworks are going off. A nightmare for an anxious pet. But this dog is suffering a little more than his feline friend, so the cat provides a comforting hug to calm him down. There's very little else more wholesome than a stranger helping another stranger. This man needed a helping hand when his wheelchair broke as he was out and about. He chose an opportune place to break down, a hardware store. This amazing photo shows the lengths the incredible employees went to in order to get this guy moving again. Johnny Depp always puts on a show. If you didn't think you could love his depiction of Jack Sparrow anymore, watch what happens when he wanders into a children's hospital dressed as everybody's favorite anarchic pirate hero. The actor was filming in Vancouver when he decided to take time out to visit the British Columbia Children's Hospital. He spent over 5 hours in character, talking to the kids and teens, and judging from their reactions, it absolutely made their day. Christmas is a time for giving generously to those who are less fortunate, and this story perfectly demonstrates this. This tenant had been hit with misfortune as their husband was suffering from cancer. The couple were wondering how to make ends meet until their landlord wrote them a letter and sent them back their rent check, uncashed, saying, "Christmas is a time to help one another. Please accept this as encouragement for you both." A true Christmas miracle. Cops are tasked to serve and protect, but some take their duties further than others. This picture of a kid and a police officer sitting together doesn't seem significant until you hear the full story. Officer Gaetano Acera found 13-year-old Cameron Simmons after he made a distressed call to the police. The boy told him that he wanted to run away from his home because his mother was yelling at him for playing his older brother's video games. At the house, Acera found the Simmons home life was far from perfect. He didn't have a wardrobe or even a bed, and kept his clothes in a trash bag. What happened next would bring a tear to even the hardest of eyes. The officer stocked Simmons' bedroom full of furniture, including a desk, a chair, a bed, a Wii game system, and even an air hockey table for him and his brother to play together. What a hero! This story comes from Ottawa, as a group of young ladies were taking photos in the bathroom when they met an older woman. The woman commented that she missed nights out like that, and the girls promptly included her in the pictures and spent the rest of the evening with her. These photos of them all together are heartwarming and hilarious. It's no fun being a mailman sometimes. With long routes and heavy parcels, it can be a real drag, even more so in a heat wave. But this thoughtful 8-year-old wanted to change that. Carmine McDaniel wanted to give his local mailman a nice surprise, so he decided to give refreshments in the form of some refreshing Gatorade, and his reaction is priceless.
Thank God, thank you. Oh my God, yes. I'll take it all. I'll take a water and a Gatorade.
Part of being an astronaut is getting your official NASA photo taken. You want to look sharp and heroic. But what about dog-friendly? Leland Melvin is a bona fide space explorer who spent over 500 hours in space, including time on the ISS. But when it came time to take his portrait for history, he couldn't leave out two of the most important members of his family, his dogs. Apparently, he had to sneak them on site at NASA headquarters, through security at the car park, and then into the photo booth. Aw, look how much they love him. This next photo shows the true triumph of human spirit over adversity. It was taken in 2005 on the Golden Gate Bridge. In it, a man named Kevin Berthia is standing beyond guardrails, preparing to take his own life. A police officer called Kevin Briggs is leaning over, talking to him. After speaking for over an hour, the officer manages to talk the man around to climbing back up onto the bridge. What makes this truly heartwarming is that 8 years later, they were reunited. Briggs was receiving an award for his services at the California Police Department. And who was presenting the award? None other than the man he saved, Kevin Berthia, who is now a suicide prevention advocate who has even given a TED Talk on the importance of listening. Sometimes a small act of kindness can mean a great deal to someone who has nothing. This man in Rio de Janeiro was caught on camera offering his shoes to a homeless girl who didn't have any. Though we don't know his name or hers, it's a powerful image that will make you think about those less fortunate. Prom is a formative time of year for all young people. Whether they're buying an expensive gown or thinking of some elaborate promposal, it's usually a time when people only think about themselves. But look at this photo, which comes from the graduating class of Pirate High School in Serbia. These kids are off to prom, but where are their fancy clothes? Amazingly, this class decided to take the money they would have spent on new dresses and donate it to the less fortunate, choosing instead to go without expensive garments on the biggest night of their school year. The Black Saturday bushfires were a series of wildfires which broke out in 2009 in Victoria, Australia. They claimed 180 lives and took over a month to quell. But this one image came to symbolize kindness and hope among all the destruction. Firefighter David Tree found this koala, dubbed Sam, clinging to life and offered her some water. This image is an incredible one, not only because of the act of kindness, but because of Sam's reaction, who sits and drinks straight from the bottle while holding David's hand. War often takes away our humanity, but within the grief and madness there can sometimes be small moments which remind us who we are. This hopeful image shows an American soldier in Iraq taking a break in the hot sun. While resting against the walls of a house, an adorable Iraqi child offers a flower she has picked. The soldier extends their arm to take it, and in that moment, the gap between the two worlds is bridged, thanks to the innocence of youth. The lengths people go to protect their pets is astonishing sometimes. Here's an incredible image taken during the middle of a flood. This boy is seen wading through neck-deep water in search of safety. On top of his head is a large bowl, balanced with his hands, and in this bowl is a little dog, soggy but grateful to be out of the river. An inspiring sight that will have you grinning. When people work together, they can achieve amazing things, even in the most terrifying circumstances. This video is a grim scene, a burning car on the side of the road. Then, it gets worse. Someone spots a person trapped under it. Thankfully, everybody quickly pulls together and grabs one side of the car. They lift the immolating vehicle and drag the trapped victim out from under it, turning this from a tragedy to a scene of triumph. Thanks to the strength of human spirit, there are wholesome moments all around us. We hope that you're smiling as much as we are after watching this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.